CM Punk is ready for the Octagon, UFC 203 on Saturday. Stipe Miocic taking on Alistair Overeem. Going to be very, very exciting fight in front of Cleveland. It's the summer of Cleveland in a way.
Summer's over, Jason. It's the fall of Cleveland.
It's the fall of Cleveland. You know, the Cavs win. Stipe Miocic considers, you know, himself like the first champion from Cleveland in a long time, and he technically was. So I'm sure that the arena will be filled with the hometown crowd there to watch. But another person on that docket is CM Punk. And CM Punk has been everywhere in the headlines because he disagrees with Conor McGregor's assessment of WWE fighters, and he's making the transition. And Bleacher Report ran a great article about how the UFC, it was a question, but it's really a statement. It's not supposed to be a question. The UFC does bend the rules for WWE crossover fighters to get them in, which, in terms of business, in terms of putting together good cards and characters in the UFC, makes sense. It doesn't make it fair or right, though. But more importantly, Francis, there's a story regarding that maybe Nate Diaz is not such a bad boy after all. Maybe deep down Nate Diaz is a good guy. Let's take a look at the story that CM Punk had in regards to Nate Diaz. At UFC 200, I was doing an autograph signing, and the guy I was signing the autograph for started pointing behind me, and I heard someone yelling my name, and I turned around, and I was on a riser, and Nate Diaz was on the ground, and he was like, "Hey man, come here." Punk explained when speaking to Fox Sports recently. I was like, "What's up?" And he was the nicest effing guy. He continues to say, "I don't know if he'll get mad and this will ruin the image of Nate Diaz, but he was like, hey man, I talked some effing S before and I don't know you and I'm sorry." And he's like, "Gilbert Melendez and Ronda Rousey said that you're a cool dude and they love you." And I started looking around for the cameras. I was like, all right, I thought that was super, super cool of him. Super nice guy. Again, this crossover between these wrestlers is not getting necessarily the best rap we would think from UFC fighters in the media. However, it seems like these stories start to surface, and maybe they don't mind it after all. Maybe they have respect for guys like CM Punk, maybe Brock Lesnar. I don't know, Francis, I'm talking too fast. Stop me. The coffee's kicked in all together. Let's go!
I think that when you think about this, I think that it makes sense. It's like, of course they're going to amp up their image for the camera. Do you think Conor McGregor really has this much disregard for the WWE? Do you think he wakes up going, fuck the WWE? Sorry, I swore. Oh no, the club's demonetized. No! All right, either way, do I think that Conor McGregor wakes up in the middle of the night with cold sweats thinking he doesnn't like the WWE?
I do.
He might do. He doesn't like John Cena's luminous yellow shirts.
I can't sleep.
Oh. Have you heard McGregor's description of why he just doesn't like John Cena? He's like, no, you're a grown-ass man and you're wearing luminous shirts. We can already see you. You're huge. You don't need to wear a luminous shirt. Oh, I love him.
Can I just tell you my favorite John Cena thing ever is that in every WrestleMania, like every WWE event, I'm not trying to make fun of WWE. I'm just saying, at every WWE event, John Cena shows up. And every single time he shows up, the announcers go, he wasn't supposed to be here.
He's behind the curtain like, is it my time yet?
He's right, he was always going to be there.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the WrestleMania he's not there, and the commentators are like, John Cena was supposed to be here.
But to get back to the substance of the first point as to do they bend the rules for the WWE, of course they do. You don't have a man like Brock Lesnar look like a man like Brock Lesnar without some assistance. The guy looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, but here's the thing.
Donatello, Michelangelo.
Who's my Raphael? I think it's Raphael. The WWE has their fighters, they need to aesthetically be held to a certain regard. So much so that, yes, natural causes could probably get you to that level, but not as quick as unnatural causes could help you get there. They need to look like they are godlike figures. That's why The Rock looked like he does. I'm sure he'd probably disregard any sort of substance abuse as well.
Don't you badmouth The Rock. He'll burst through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man and take you away.
He will curl me. But Brock Lesnar, of course, when you get fighters like you had the most perfect example. You have Mark Hunt looking like just a guy that is humongous, but he's got some cushion for the pushing. And you've got Brock Lesnar, who's just in the most peak image of a monstrous man you can imagine.
Viking.
Yeah, a Viking. And you have them coming together. So the example of Brock Lesnar, and when they have to come over to the UFC and perform, there may be some rules that are bent because when they're in the WWE, there are certain rules that they are allowed to bend themselves in order to get into peak physical condition. That's it.
That's true. That's all we got for you on CM Punk. I'm very interested to see his debut in the UFC. The reason why they were saying bending the rules, by the way, for to be fair, a little more objective in the context, is you're not supposed to be able to just jump into UFC fighting without having like amateur fights under your belt. There's a certain degree of amateur fights you're supposed to have. He doesn't have those. He's fighting Micky Gall. It's like technically the third build. It's not a co-headliner because Fabricio Werdum versus Travis Brown is alongside Miocic versus Overeem. Uriah Faber versus Jimmy Rivera is also on the card. It's an interesting card. I don't think it's the best card, but I think it's going to provide some very spectacular fights in the end because this is usually, I can just feel this is going to be a good card. By the way, Cerrone versus Robbie Lawler just announced for UFC 205 at the Garden, the world's most famous arena. Do you know what the most electrifying move in Madison Square Garden history is?
The people's elbow.
It is the people's elbow. Ding, 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 ding. Comment below, like, favorite, and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching over on YouTube, thank you. If you are, you can annotate. These clips are annotated back and forth, and they're in the description box. If you're watching on mobile, tough shit. They don't annotate back and forth. I'm sorry. It's YouTube Mobile's problem, not ours. But we leave the links in the description. At Francis_Maxwell, at JasonRuben91 for Twitter, at Francis Maxwell host for Instagram. Every like you give him will put one more tear in Francis's eye.
Why am I crying? Happy tears?
Just happy tears. Are those happy tissues or sad tissues?
And there you have it. Jason, I have the image that Jason in his head is just sitting there with a can of beer and a wife beater, and he's just always throwing out either movie references or SpongeBob references. One or the other.
Do you know what's funnier than 24?
25.
All right, we'll see you next time.